Good evening and welcome. I'm Hayley Coxon and this is the Spirit of Motorsport TV. And tonight's episode is all about the great Mr. David Knight. So remember, this show is live and interactive. We want to hear from you. Please do share your comments, share your questions. David is here for the next hour or so. It's an opportunity for you to speak to him, chat to him, get an update on what he's been doing and also what his next steps are. So share your comments. If you know anybody that is unaware of the show this evening, tag them in, send it to your friends, get them to join in the conversations. We want to hear from them and from you. So without further ado, let's invite the great man himself into the studio, Mr. David Knight.
Hey everyone, how's it going, Hayley?
Very good, thank you. How you doing?
Not too bad.
It's good to see you. It feels like forever ago.
I know it feels like 10 years ago now, the Dakar thing. It's what we're in now, March, aren't we? And yeah, time's flying. Time's going quick.
So you've been keeping busy back on the lovely rock?
Yeah, well, I got out of isolation beginning of February, really. So I've had just over a month of normality now. And it's hard. People always say after the Dakar, it's very hard to get back into normal life. And it's true. It's, you know, obviously I've been away traveling most of my life, really, but, you know, especially since my early 20s. And you get used to going away and get used to coming home. But the whole Dakar thing, it's quite strange. Like, I think mentally, it's quite strange when you get back and get into normality again. It's like your head's full of everything still from it. You know, your road book stuff, and it's hard to relax. Very hard to relax. So I'm getting there now. I think you've got me suspension business here, so that's been really busy. That's been keeping me busy. The kids, obviously now we're locked down over here again for the last week. It feels like about a year. So we've got struggling on with them, doing the homeschooling thing, and like I try and go down to the workshop early in the morning for an hour or two, get some work done, come back and help with the homeschooling thing. And like when one of the kids is doing the lessons on the computer, the little fella's running around, Emma's helping them with the schoolwork. So I've got to try and keep the little fella entertained, otherwise he's screaming the house down. So I just come back and try and get a little bit of stuff done there, and then usually go and do some more work in the afternoon. So just finding my feet with that again, really. But I was getting going on the riding again on my enduro bike. I was getting out quite a bit of extreme riding, which I haven't done for a long time, for a couple of years properly. So that was nice to get back into that. Getting out on the enduro bike, motocross track, and yeah, all good until last week when I had a bit of a crash.
So we're going to come back to that. I'm just going to share some comments, David. We've got Brian Spooner here saying hello from the West Midlands. Dan O'Neill saying, what kind of other Motorsport? I'm not going down. You could confirm that for me. That would be great. Stephen Allen said, oh yeah, get saving, get new sponsors, get back to the Dakar. Stay safe, David. From Stephen Hallam in Sheffield. We've got Peter Davies, hello from Swansea, and Andy Creech saying evening all, and John Kashersky saying hello from the States. So,
hi everyone.
Right. Hello. Good evening, everyone. Thanks. Keep sharing it with your friends as well. Get involved. Fire your questions our way as well. So let's come back to that little off that you've had then, David. If you can give us an update, what's been going on?
Yeah, so just getting into me riding, doing you know my normal sort of stuff, building up again. Because another thing, like after the Dakar, your fitness is a lot different to what it's like. I was going out on my enduro bike and feeling like real tired compared to what I normally did, and obviously the Dakar takes it out of you anyway, probably more than you realise physically. But but it's completely different. The days are really long, and then you get back out to doing short bursts, like 5-minute bursts and stuff like that. It was really hard. It was, I'd go out for long rides on doing the extreme enduro stuff, which is tough, and that was all right. I could settle into it, but the sprint stuff again, it's hard to get back into it. So I've been on my motocross track and stuff, and that was as rough as anything, like as rough as it's ever been. So I was riding that and enjoying it, and then I had it graded. Lad come down and flattened it all, and we were down there last Sunday it was, me and a few other lads, and just going really well around it. Almost probably got too confident, enjoying myself too much, and I was going to stay out for like an hour and a half, and I was about 3 hours, and then I thought I'll do another stint, and I was putting like 10, 20 laps. It depends if I was like sprinting loads. Anyway, a few laps into it, I pulled a tear off coming out of there's a corner and then down a big steep hill, and I just pulled a tear off, and I took the front end a little bit, and the sand was, because it had been raining a lot, it was quite rutty, and I just took the front, and I sort of was hanging off the bike, and there's a big bank in front, and on a normal track I would have been all right. I would have just probably rode around in a circle and then gone back on, but I was sort of half off the bike, and then I just hit this bank. The bike missed it. The bike went down the side of it and then just parked up nice, but I hit it like right on me left side, and yeah, I knew it was coming. You're like half off, and you're just like, oh no, and bang. And I always have like a GPS lap time and stuff on, so you can look on that, and I was doing like 35 mile an hour, which is pretty quick on a motocross track. Probably like third gear to 0 in like 0.4 of a second, I think it was. And I just knew straight away, I was like, this isn't good. So before, like, you have the impact, and then you're like, right, I'm going to be winded in a couple of seconds, and then you go into that, and then actually passed out because I couldn't get any air, and I just went really lightheaded, and then I come back around again, and I knew I'd passed out a bit, and I started getting my breath a little bit, but I knew I'd done a couple of ribs straight away again. You just, anyone that's broken ribs or whatever, you know, when you hit, especially when you hit that hard, that I'd done some damage, and I was coughing, trying to get my breath, and I was coughing a load of blood up, so I was a little bit worried then, and a few boys were out with me, and they come up, and just when I sort of started chilling out, Emma and the kids turned up to have a walk on their beach, so I got a bollock in there, and yeah, just, what have you been doing now? And I'm like, I'm all right. So I got my breath back, and the boys picked the bike up, and I rode the bike back to the van. Guys helped me load it up, and then I thought, I'm not leaving my van out here and having to come back and get it later. So I drove home. Shouldn't probably say that. I get arrested now. I drove home, and Emma gave me a lift into Ramsey Hospital, which was a waste of time because you don't do X-rays at a weekend. So apparently you can't get hurt at a weekend. So suddenly wanted to put me in the ambulance, and I just said, nah, it's all right. Emma will drive. So she drove me up to Douglas, and I was in there for 3 days. I did 6 ribs in the back, 3 or 4 in the front. Some of them are in 3 or 4 pieces. And I did a bit of damage to me lung contusions, and had fluid and blood in it. That's why I had an X-ray today, just to check that, really, because it's not good when you give your lung a good bashing like that. So I was shocked, really, because I wasn't in that much pain. When I got to hospital, I was like, not too bad. I thought, well, we could probably ride on this. And I was in there for 3 days, and he wouldn't let me go because of my lung. So, I was in there, and there was a couple of characters in there. That's for certain. There was a couple of. I've never ever had a night like my first night in that hospital that night with one of the old boys in there, and everyone was coming to get him, and they were he was smacking me bed and ripping the curtains off and kicking nurses and hitting nurses, and there was all sorts going on. It was quite entertaining, but I don't know. I think the medication he put him on, it sent him a bit doolally. But then after that, like the next day, he was spot on. Weird, but yeah, it was entertaining anyway.
So, in comparison to your injury at the Dakar, then, because you obviously cracked your ribs there, it sounds way worse because obviously you've got more cracks and a little bit more damage there, especially with your lung. So, in comparison to the Dakar, how's the pain?
It's a lot more now. Like the doctors were like, "Oh, how are you getting up so easy?" And I said, honestly, I've had bruised ribs that are way worse than what this is. It was my lung. It was like popping when you breathe hard. It was like crackling. So that was what I was concerned about. Ribs you can't really do anything with. But when I had my CT scan, I said, well, I broke 2 ribs at the Dakar. And he said, yeah, we can see that. They're pretty much healed. So they were all right. Because I've noticed probably the last 2 or 3 weeks that they're not hurting anymore. And then I went and did this. But the impact that I had was bad. Like it hit it really hard. And I knew straight away, I was like, oh, this isn't good. But with the, like I was saying, when I got up about 2 or 3 mornings ago, a massive crack come out of it, and I was in agony that day. I couldn't really do much at all, and I've got to like sit down like this with my back against something, because when I'm doing suspension down the workshop, I've been stood up. You can stand up for like 5 minutes, and then it's really painful. But when I'm sat like this, it's fine. So it's just one of them. But when I had X-rays today just to check it, they were all sort of like that, out of joint still. And I think just in time, I've done it before, I think your muscles pull them back in and you knit together properly, hopefully. But that's what the guy said that crack would have been, was one of them just moving. Don't sound nice, but yeah, it's just one of them. Like, you know, I'm pretty peed off with myself for crashing in the first place, but I'm old enough to know now it's part of it. And I was pushing on. I'm trying to get myself in good shape, and the only way you can do it is to ride at a good speed, not cruise around wrapping yourself up. So it's one of them. It's unfortunate, but I can make the best of a bad situation.
Well, we've had some comments here. We've got a couple of questions. Dan O'Neill said he's turned his predictive text off. Okay, thank you. He says, are you going to be following the MotoGP?
Yeah, definitely. I love my road racing stuff and short circuit stuff, BSB. The MotoGP thing, I try watching it as much as I can. Obviously, Cal and that riding in it, I'd always keen, and Jack Miller always keen to see how them boys get on. And yeah, dead keen on it. And it's like, I'm a big sort of, I know how good Marquez is, and I've been riding with him in Spain, and he's unbelievable. But the championship's definitely been more interesting without him, because any 1 or 10 of them can win. And when Marquez is riding, it's pretty much, unless he crashes or does something, starting at the back of the grid or whatever, he sort of usually runs away with it. So it's been quite good, and it's nice to see other bikes up there as well. KTM is starting to get good. Suzuki won the World Championship. So yeah, definitely keen to see what happens, really.
Wicked. We've got John Kashirski from the US says, not sure if this has been asked yet, but were there any language barriers for you and your teammates to overcome during the Dakar?
Only when you don't want to speak to them. No, John, it's no, all them Dutch guys can speak probably better English than I can, so there's no problem whatsoever with any of them. that was a nice thing. I have in the past with teams have had difficulty, especially with Italian teams, that you're trying to say something to a mechanic or one of the suspension guys or engine guy, and it's critical. Sometimes it's absolutely critical to get that message over, what you're trying to say, and it's sometimes it's tough to do in English, explaining something. So when you're at that situation with a foreign mechanic, it's really hard. And I was actually just reading something before about Chaz Davies. He's got one of the English boys crew chief for him next year, which it'll be a lot easier. He said it's a lot easier for him. Exact same thing with the Italians. It's always a little bit very hard to get your point over to them, and then 9 times out of 10, the Italians always think they know best anyway. So you end up banging your head against the wall. So yeah, it can be difficult, but at the Dakar it was absolutely spot on.
So there's no fallout. Did you see the story the day before? Was it stage 11? There was two guys driving one of the buggies. I can't remember which team it was, and they had a fallout. Literally,
was it a girl in the side, or was
no?
it was
2 guys, and he got out. He said, "I've had enough," and he dropped them off. He got out.
I heard about it, and apparently there was another one as well with a girl in the side.
Oh, really?
And they did a similar thing, but I heard about that one where the guy had enough and he just got out and walked off.
Stage 11 as well. What the hell?
I know. Did they finish or not?
He did finish, but the team picked him up in the desert. Terrible.
Must have been bad.
I know. We've got Pat Slynn. Good evening, Pat. He's got a question for you. How do you prevent blisters on your hands? Great question, Pat.
You know what? In the Dakar, I never got one blister.
Wow.
And over the years, I don't know why, I've been pretty early on in my career, especially really bad to get blisters. And even when I was racing in the US, like them 3-hour races, savage. And, especially in Florida, the sand one, you would finish that with no skin on your hands if you weren't careful. And you would we'd have a race 4 days after. So you had the Florida one at Daytona on a Sunday. Thursday, sorry. And then you would have one in Georgia on Sunday. So it was close together. And blisters are a massive problem. But in the Dakar, we use all the riders use like a sponge handle grip. It's like foam. And I guess that's the reason for vibration, one off them, because that's what I notice the most when you're riding on the road sections going along and you just 120 kilometers an hour. You lose feeling in both hands with the vibration, and you take your hand off for like 5 seconds and it goes normal again. And that's the same on the seat with your leg. Like I was sitting on the edge of the seat a little bit, trying not to get blisters on your bum, and like you wear padding and stuff, but on you sort of the back of your leg was getting blisters on that. So that was with the vibration again on the road sections of all things, not on the stage. So, but I wear undergloves as well. It's like a real thin Kevlar glove I had from in the US in 2007 and 8. And I've still got a load off them, and the things last forever. So I was actually halfway through the Dakar, I started wearing them just as insurance, really. Just, I thought, but my hands are spot on here. And a few other guys were starting to get blisters. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to wear them. And they're not as nice to ride in because they're a little bit thicker. Everything's a bit bigger feeling. But I just thought, as an insurance policy, worst thing is riding 9 or 10 hours a day with, skin hanging off your hands and trying to grip on the handlebars. So, I was pretty lucky, I think.
Oh, look at that shot.
I know, it's good, isn't it?
We've got another question here from Dan O'Neill. He says, who do you think is going to win the World Superbike Championship this year?
Another interesting one, really.
Yeah.
I think you'd be hard to. I think it'd be hard to beat Johnny, really. You know, I know what work he puts into it, and it all depends. He's got a new bike now, and I think I've heard it. You know, a couple of things. I've not spoken to him, but one of my best mates is best mates with Johnny, and I think he's happy with the new bike, and says the thing's a big improvement on the old one, and almost to the point where I think he realizes that the old one was probably not as good as he thought it was, but he was still winning on it. So, but then you've got, you know, it's interesting because you've got the American kid, Gerloff, you've got Redden, Chaz. So I think there's definitely more competition there now than what there was, on decent bikes, and it's going to be interesting. It's not going to be easy for him, you know. He's won 6 now, so to win 7 in a row, it's going to be a big ask, really. But I think if anyone can do it, I think Johnny could, to be honest. You know, it's a pity. Like, I would have loved to see him in MotoGP last year with on that Suzuki, because Mir did exactly the same as what Johnny did in World Superbike. Just finish top 3, top 4, whatever, every race, and won the World Championship. And I'm damn sure, people might disagree, but I'm damn sure Johnny would do the same in MotoGP, especially on that Suzuki. I think it would suit him down to the ground, but I don't think he got the opportunity. So we'll never know, I guess. Did
you see he posted something the other day? He's been in Spain on, what kind of bike was he on? He's doing some kind of
motocross bike.
Was he on a motocross bike, was he?
Yeah, we always go, like, we usually all go to Spain at this time of year. So Johnny's out there, and then Gav, me mate, me, a few of the other Manx lads, we all go out there and have like a week training motocross tracks, just decent weather. And obviously last 2 years we haven't done it because it's just that much hassle getting back in and isolating and stuff like that. So yeah, Johnny's a lucky one out there and getting ready, but his team's based, he's pretty much based where we go riding, so it's easy for him, and he's got to do it anyway. He's, you know, obviously he's got a world championship to go and win, so he needs to be out training. But yeah, it's a good spot to go, and yeah, something that I'm sort of missing, really.
So I want to come back to what you talk about at the beginning, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Speaking about how when you go back for the Dakar, switching your mind off from it as you're processing everything that you've actually just committed to. Was there anything in particular that was constantly going over in your mind, or was it just everything? Or was the one particular thing that you were completely focused on?
I think a bit of everything, really. Just, it's hard. Like, I was flat out from when we started the whole GoFundMe thing. I was literally flat out every day for a couple of months, and then all the hassle to get to the rally, and then actually getting ready for the rally, and then doing the rally, and then it all just come to a sharp end, really, and you're almost left dangling. You get home, and then that 2 weeks isolation, you know, anyone that's got to do that, it's tough. Mentally, it's really tough. You know, I was like 3 mile away from home here, and I couldn't go home. I was in that apartment, and you start thinking about different things and what could I have done better, what could I, you know, and it just keeps going round and round in your head. And the biggest thing was for me, I was like, what do I do now? You know, I'm sat there. The Corona thing, it's, you know, with a family, it's hard to go and disappear for a month or so, which is what you need to do. To go and do a 2 events over 2 weeks, you've got to go away for over a month, probably 5 weeks or something. Time you've isolated and everything, so it's not doable, really. You miss that much work. You know, you get a big backlog of everything. You're not earning money. It's tough. So I think you've just got to. It was just playing over and over in my head, and I know what sort of races that I want to go and do, but you just can't. At this moment in time, it's really hard to plan anything. You know, maybe before June, I don't know. So all that, really, and you just, thinking about next Dakar, if you want to do it again, and what do you need to go and do it. So you just get stuck in it's like a tumble dryer banging around, and you're not going anywhere. You're just going around in circles. And it was nice to be able to get back out on my bike again. Obviously, come home, see the family and everything, but just have that space on your bike. And I do all my thinking. I go out riding, and you sort of switch off from everything, and then you've got a lot clearer mind after, and you're sort of right. It helps me a lot really. When you're just in a room sat thinking things over and over, it's like anyone, it's tough, it's hard.
Your mindset's what fascinates me. We've got a good question on that in a second. First of all, we're going to go to Skip Broon, and he's really hooked on watching enduro now. How do you feel about Billy Bolt?
Yeah, Billy's he's good. He's a character. I see a lot of what I was in Billy from me 20 years ago when I come on the scene. Very similar backgrounds, come from trials. He's come into obviously the sport at a different place to what it was when I come in. I could sort of mix it up and do enduro. Then it went into extreme enduro with indoors come along. So I was sort of pioneering all that stuff when they come along. You've got riders now that are good at some of them, but not all of them. It's tough to be good at all of them now. And Billy's come along, and he sort of can do what I was doing back then, but with today's riders. And he's a good character. He's happy-go-lucky, always laughing. So it's nice, it's nice in this day and age to have a character like that is a bloody good rider, and he'll only get better. I think he's a little bit loose still at the minute, and he's still learning from mistakes and stuff. But I think you've got to do that. If he's got the speed and he's got the talent, that'll all come along with him. You've still got your Jarvises and stuff winning. Graham's 3 or 4 years older than me, and that gives me confidence when you see Graham winning. I think, right, get my head down. I can still beat Graham. 2 years ago I was still beating him, so I can still do it, I think. But it's nice. It's hard to beat them young lads for sure. And when Billy finds his feet, he'll be I think he'll be untouchable. But then another one might come along. It's happened before. Your Walker is going to be the next big thing, and he's missed the boat really. These are the young ones like Lettenbecker, Billy, and that have come along and jumped in ahead of them. So I've seen it happen during my career a lot of times, and it'll keep happening. There'll always be a new young kid that comes up and is better than the other guy. So it's nice to see.
Great. Liam Thomas says, hi, David. During the Dakar, how did the long days riding alone affect your mental state? Were there any times when you thought about not making it to the end? Great question, Liam.
No, it was actually nice. Like, I've always loved riding on my own. Like in a motocross or whatever, it's good and I enjoy it. But I always love riding a bike, just getting into you get into like tunnel vision after a while, and you just get into, and you don't think about anything else in the world. You're just riding your bike, thinking about what's coming and what you're doing. And honestly, like, you'd finish a stage and I would look at my watch and I was like, geez, I've been like 9.5 hours. And you couldn't get it in. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I've been like riding like that for 9 hours or 7 hours, whatever it was. And it felt like probably it didn't feel any different to like a 2 or 3 hour race. So it's strange really, but it was nice getting into that mindset. I think that's why it's difficult when you come home, because you start getting used to not worrying about anything else. You just get into that mindset, and off you go. And you're just thinking, really, you've got to concentrate as much as you can to to not have an accident or not go the wrong way, or you're just thinking 110% for every second of that day with what you're doing on that bike. And you don't really think, like in the road sections, you think about all of the stuff. That's when you're riding along and you're bored going along, and you're just thinking about, I need to do that when I get home, and need to do this, and just your normal stuff. But as soon as that stage starts, it's weird. You just go into your own little world.
In tune with your bike. And off you go.
Emma says I'm good at that, getting in my own world.
Brian Spooner says, what was easier, doing the Dakar or organising it?
Doing it, definitely, Brian. Doing the Dakar was easier. And I think it's one of them that, like, getting everything ready and that, it's hard work, and it's, organising all the stuff that we did. You're running around flat everywhere. The race, I really enjoyed it not every second, but near enough every second of it I enjoyed. So it's like anything, when you're enjoying it, it's easy, You obviously have doubts here and there that you worry, like I was worrying that something was on a break on the bike, or you start getting nervous, especially the last couple of days. You listen to stuff, and it's like any motorsport, people say, and it gets in your head, it starts getting in your head, and you're like, I better carry one of them, I better carry this spare. And then you think, well, there's about 60 other people still going, and why would my bike break and not theirs? So then, so you've just got to carry on. I was nursing it a lot more the last few days, just not revving it, and big straight, I was just knocking it up the gears and closing the throttle, because position-wise wasn't that, even at that stage, it wasn't that important. It was just, let's get the thing to the finish, which I kept saying. But definitely it was easier racing than it was organising.
Geez, the mission, like, just to remind people, obviously COVID anyway was a big mission, but as much as we love the Isle of Man, and it's a beautiful place, we love it for so many things, it can be a bloody nightmare when the weather kicks it off, can't it, to just get off that island.
I know, just like such a simple thing, like you people laugh about it, but we were literally stuck here. You couldn't, it was impossible to get off the island. Like Christmas, it's not the best time to go traveling anyway, is it? But Christmas in COVID lockdown, and bad weather, just everything that could have went wrong. And obviously in this day and age, you think, you get someone, must be someone with a helicopter or a little plane or whatever, but the weather was that bad you couldn't. And like the private jet thing, that was nearly sorted. I'm glad we didn't have to get that now, because the price of the bloody thing, you would have just been paying it off for another 10 years. But anyway, it's one of them that it all worked out in the end, but don't know how. We just sort of winged it, and we ended up getting there by pure luck, really.
We've got a couple more questions here. Good evening to Rudy Ryder. Dot Jones says, get better soon. Take care. And Rudy Ryder is asking, do you know the reason why there were so many tyre punctures at the Dakar?
Oh, in the cars. The bikes were lucky. Like with a bike, you've got a thing called a mousse in, which is like a foam insert in your tyre. So you can put a screwdriver through it. You can put a hacksaw through it, and you don't get a puncture. So you wouldn't even attempt the Dakar on a bike now without a mousse. People still attempt enduros with them stupidly and get a puncture after about 2 minutes and then start whinging. But that's, it's one of them. But in the cars, they were getting like, I think one of the teams had 130 punches or something like that. They were saying, but I seen Alataya, who was second. I seen him kicking off a bit after the Dakar, and I didn't really understand it. He was in a Hilux pickup, and then Peter Hansel was in the mini buggy, which I think the buggy's a 2-wheel drive, and the pickup's a 4-wheel drive. But with the pickup, you're not allowed to adjust your pressure from inside the vehicle. In the buggy, you can. And I think also the buggies have got bigger wheels on them. I might be wrong here, but this is what someone told me. The buggies have got bigger wheels on them and different tires, maybe like stronger tires. So there's a lot more. So they get to a rocky section, they can press a button inside the buggy and pump the tires up harder. Where our tire and that in the Hilux pickups and stuff like that, they're not allowed to do that. So he's kicked off basically saying that he hasn't done a race next year if they don't change the rules, or he'll just probably end up in a buggy instead of a Hilux. But yeah, I didn't really understand it. But one of the guys said there was I think one of the teams had 130 punches in the rally with their 3 drives or whatever it was. And even the buggies, like you see them little Can-Am Polaris buggies that race, and they're getting punches all the time. So I know what it's like on a motorbike when you go out riding and you get a flat tire. There's nothing worse. Or when you're out trail riding with people and someone gets a flat, and then you're fixing it up in the middle of the hills somewhere and it's windy and wet, and it just spoils your day. So I know it's not windy and wet at the Dakar, but in a race, in any situation, it's tough. But a guy, there was actually a Toyota Hilux passed me in the Dakar. It was when Jamie McCanny had broke down. It was like the moon. It was like real vast, like hundreds of miles flat, it looked like, with big rocks on it. And I stopped to see if Jamie was all right. And then when I got going again, I was riding along, and the next minute, beep, 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 beep. And I thought, oh, here we go. Here's the cars. And this Hilux pickup went past me flat out. Like I was probably doing 140 kilometers an hour, something like that. So like 80 or 90 mile an hour. And this thing went past me like, wow, over all these rocks, like probably doing about 150 mile an hour, where he's going fast. And I just seen him do a big swerve. And then the thing went up on 2 wheels. And I thought, oh, he's just hit something. And when I got to him, so probably like 10 seconds after, or 5 seconds after, the Jeep was already up on its hydraulic jacks. The guy was out with his battery gun, putting it onto the wheel to change it. That's how fast it was, like Formula One. And I couldn't believe it. Like they've got these hydraulic rams underneath them, so they must press a button inside them, and the thing just goes on whatever side that they want. And he was out with his little Milwaukee gun on the wheel, so they don't lose much time. You know, he was back past me again in a few minutes, so it's pretty impressive.
Wow, what a thing to see. Rudy Riders also asked, do you change your foam every day in your wheel? That's a good question, Rudy. So how often would you change that?
Yeah. It's on rider preference, really. It depends. Like I was using a rear tire a lot of the time and a front tire 2 days, and leaving the mousse in it. For safety, I was putting a new one in probably every 2 days. I like them when they're new anyway on the rally bike, because I'm obviously pretty heavy. You've got 40 something liters or 30 something liters of fuel in the bike, so all that weight. A lot of riders like the mousse soft, so you get more traction and stuff. But I actually quite like them hard, so I'm not banging the rim all the time. So yeah, I think most of the times I was doing a 2 stages with the front and a rear tire and mousse. And then the big long stages, whatever, if we had like a marathon stage, whatever, you'd obviously put a brand new one on for the 2 days. And then there was a couple of other big long road sections in. It's a road that kills the mousses off with the heat. That's what gets them. But all like the tire, if you use a rally tire, you don't really have many problems with the mousse, because the tire is pretty much like a road tire. It's hardly any knobs on the thing. Not obviously very good in the deep sand, but on the stones and hard pack, it doesn't really make much difference. But when the guys put like a Baja tire on, which is more like a motocross tire with big knobs, the knobs bending on the road and on the track when you're going fast, that'll make the mousse overheat. So that'll get hot then, and that's when they start breaking up. So you'll see people having trouble with mousses usually because you've got like a softer tire on, trying to claw back time, or thinking that they're going to make a load of time in the soft sand, and they risk having trouble with the mousse. As far as the front one goes, you'd probably get 4 or 5 days out of one if you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So
Great.
they're pretty good.
We've got a couple more here. We've got some great questions. Kieran McDonald said, what would you change or do for different for the next Dakar?
Obviously do some more rallies before, which was the plan anyway. That was the plan anyway, but obviously we couldn't with all the COVID thing. So I had a decision to make before: do I go or do I stay? And I was like, if I don't go, I probably never will. I just thought I'd rather go and learn there, and I'm glad that I did. You know, it was tough. It was mentally tough, especially the first week. But definitely, if I was doing it again, I would try and get a lot more road book riding in, which I knew, that was something I knew anyway. I would, now that I've done it, it's different the second time. Now that I've done it, I would attack it more the second time. I would push on a bit more. I've definitely learned a lot from that rally with the navigation stuff. You'd need to, obviously, if I went now, you'd have to refresh yourself again and get into that groove again. But there's not that much I would change, to be honest. It was just little things, and trying to navigate. I learned a lot on that. So trying to navigate like exactly on me. I think I navigated better on my own than when I was with people, which is not always easy to do anyway. But I would put a lot more focus on that before I went, and I would probably push on a little bit more.
Great. We've got a question here from Focus Audio Visual saying, fellow Dakar man Chris Meek is a bit handy on the enduro bike too. Have you ridden with him, and who'd win?
Yeah, Chris has done, Chris did the Dakar in the buggy this year. Obviously, top world rally driver. I don't think I've ridden with Chris. He did the Baja a few years ago on his own. I think he did it 23, 24 hours or something like that. Gordon Crockard, big mates. He's a mate of mine, ex-world motocross rider. He's big mates with Chris. And I spoke to him at last year's Dakar a little bit. He went out there to suss it out, and I couldn't get a flight out or couldn't get a visa. So I spoke to him a little bit, and he won a few stages in the side-by-side, and then I think he had a few nights out in the desert as well. He did a bit of camping and stuff. But yeah, it's good when you see, I'd love to have a go in one of them side-by-side buggies. I would have loved to have a go in one of them at the Dakar. I think it'd be good fun, and you could have someone navigating that knew what they were doing.
Now, you've had a bit of a go on the electric bike as well, right? So there's loads of electric series launching now, aren't there? So you've got the Extreme E, you've got all sorts of things kicking off this year and continuing as well. What are your thoughts with the electric bike? How have you found that, testing that out and taking that out?
They're just different. I think you get a lot of people that get on the high horse a little bit saying, oh, it's never going to replace a petrol bike. And I don't sort of look at it like that. I love me petrol bikes more than anyone, and I hope they're around for many more years to come. But the electric bike I just jump on it and I just think, right, I'm just going to take it for what it is, enjoy it for what it is. And you know what? When I ride the thing, I've got a massive smile on my face, which for me, that's the only thing that is important. I'll jump on that big Suron that had tests in it. I jumped on that, and I was up in the Bumen Hills playing around on it. I was, places where you wouldn't get away with a motorbike. And the thing was good. So it's got advantages, definitely. You can tear around the field here, around by the houses, and no one would know you're on it because obviously no noise. So they've definitely got their advantages. It's not obviously you couldn't ride it in a long distance event like a petrol bike because the battery life isn't there on them yet. You know, it depends on that bike. I would get 2 hours out of it in the woods, going steady, just playing around. Motocross track, 40 minutes, you know, so big difference on how fast you're going and like the weather conditions. Like it was really cold the one day and the battery runs down quicker when it's cold. But yeah, honestly, it was good fun. And I see they've got some more like a Dakar E series. I think Elias Sanz is doing it in Carlos Sainz's team or something. So like, I don't really know much about it. Someone said it's like a 30K stage or something like that. So it's like a real short Dakar stage, but again, be good for TV, be good to get the things going in it, maybe get some new faces involved in it. And yeah, it can only help the sport.
Great. And we'll take another question before we move on to a couple more updates. We've got Ian Tyler saying we have a wealth of young riders starting out on the world scene in 2021. Charlie Chatter, Sam Davis, Max Ditchfield, to name a few. Who is, in your opinion, from the British riders, to one to watch for the 2021 season?
There's a lot of riders now. Like you said, there's the young lads and the juniors, Charlie and that. Obviously, in the main class, you've got your Holcomb, your Freeman, McCanny, or maybe both McCannies. You've got like your younger lads like Mundell. There's loads of British riders now, which is nice to see because, you know, I headed the British Championship and World thing. There was probably 3 or 4 offers, you know, at that time, and I was winning everything in Britain. There was no young lads came up until recently, really, till probably Steve Holcomb came up. So we went from sort of nothing, went from like 2 or 3 good riders to having like 7 or 8 really good riders. And it's good to see it. You see it with other countries. Like no one could ever beat Finland. Finland were like, they had like 25 top riders in the World Championship, and now they're down to like 2 or 3. And Britain's sort of taken over from it. And you know, there's way more that we can do in this country for enduro. Way more. You know, I don't think that there's enough done, and there's not enough support for young riders. And it's so hard because the sport's pretty unknown. But I was the same. I come up from the same thing. I come from nothing, from trials, and just had to grind away. And you know, talent will get you through most of the way. But even now, time's changing with that. You know, you've got riders that are getting money thrown at them from either sponsor or family, getting good rides. And the sad thing is that riders are having to pay for rides in enduro, where, you know, that's where it's gone. I don't really agree with it, but that's the way that it's gone. And you know, maybe some of the lads that should have a fair crack at it don't get the chance at it. So it's hard. But I think in the main classes, you've got, obviously, like I said, there's probably 5 Brits that can win the World Championship. Young lads coming up through. There's youth riders. So no, it'll be nice. Hopefully this the World Championship will go ahead and start in June, like it's supposed to, and the young lads can get some experience and go out and, you know, and do some winning.
Let's get them all going again. That's what I say. Gosh, Mark Elliott, is that any enduros for you this year? Then let's start with these updates. Then that's what everybody's asking. What's next for Mr. David Knight? Obviously, recovery.
Well, yeah, I'd love to do. Yeah, not crash, but no, I'd love to do. Like, I've got nothing confirmed or nothing definite, but I want to go and do some extreme races again. So your hard enduros, like the West Series, it's a full-on world championship now. So I'd like to go and take in like 2 or 3 of them. Pick the ones that I know I can do well at or I'm going to enjoy. There's one that I haven't done in Tennessee Knockout in America. Now, I don't know if America will be open then or not in August time. And the only thing that's always put me off that race is it's humid as hell. Like, I've raced in America in them conditions and it isn't pleasant. But, you know, so many people always ask me to go over and do it. And I've got some good people behind me in America again now. You know, a couple of good companies that are desperate for, you know, to do some stuff and go over there and do some riding. So that'll work in one way. So Erzberg, that's sort of on the cards to go and do again. But that's, you know, that's not far off. That's June. We're not a million miles from that already. Le Trèfle, which is a big race in France, that's one that I've been invited to. Tough to get an entry for. That's the same weekend as Erzberg, so I'll do one of them, whichever sort of happens. I'm keen to do both of them, so I'd love to do Le Trèfle on my 500 KTM, which, you know, I think that'd be a really good event to go and do on it. And then just other races that I want to do, like maybe do some of the World Enduro Championship again. That's got a new sort of promoter, the FIM's taking it over. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. But basically, I just want to go and do a few big events in Europe, a couple in America later in the year, like end sort of October, November time, and just go and enjoy my riding again. And I know I can still do all right. I'm obviously not going to go and beat all these young lads in World Enduro Championship, but that's not the point of it. It's just to go there, do the best that I can, put in a couple of decent results that I'm sort of happy enough with, and have the crack with everyone. Sort of, you know, that's what I enjoy, going there. And the first time round, it was all very, what do you call it? You just basically do the race, try and win the race, then get out there and get to the next race. Now sort of take it all in a little bit more. I know with the extreme races, I can do well. I can literally go out my back door and I've got some of the best riding in the world to go and train on. So that's a big difference from the Dakar for me, is being able to get up in the morning and train for a sport that's accessible. You know, the Dakar is really hard to do that because obviously you need to be in a desert somewhere, and we haven't got much of a desert in the Isle of Man, and even having somewhere that big to go and train road books in. The Dakar I'm still keen to do again, definitely keen to go and do it again, but it's got to be for the right sort of, you know, for the right reason, and not just go and do it for the sake of doing it again. So I'm talking to some people with that still. So all these things take time, but in the immediate future, I definitely want to get into some extremes again, go and do them. You know, maybe British Championship as well. You know, British Enduro, I think there's 4 rounds. One of them's in the Isle of Man, so that makes sense to go and do. So just go and do some fun races again, and see if I can put in a half decent result in some of them.
Yeah, you can. We've got Stuart Biggins here saying, can't wait to see you racing again. I think he speaks for every single one of us. So, David, you gave us the privilege of following you all the way through Dakar, supporting you all the way. So we're currently going to be building your own platform so we can provide more exclusive access to what you've got coming up and what your plans are for this year. So we want to kind of share that with everyone, don't we, this evening, just to let them know and update them that we got the film in the can as well. So we had the great Billy Bike Truck Ward over there with you in Dakar, just filming everything, keeping you entertained and shooting it all. So we're going to be launching at some point this year that film as well, won't we? And be doing a virtual event to launch it as well.
Yeah, there's been there's been a lot going on. Like, obviously, I've been quite quiet on it. We've been home here, and I've been getting back into normality, and getting training a little bit and stuff again. But yeah, there's been lots of stuff going on, like trying to get this platform going where I'll be doing training videos and doing just basically filming what I do when I'm out riding. And the Dakar thing, it seemed to be pretty popular with everyone. Had good comments from people telling me, I need to do more of that. And with you guys, with the spirit of motorsport, I think we can bring it. You sort of want to bring what I do, bring it to the public so they can actually see, because there's a hell of a lot goes into racing motorbikes. Even now, I know from over the years the amount of time and dedication I've had to put into it, and I think some of the younger lads don't appreciate that sometimes people think it's easy, and oh yeah, let's go and race a motorbike because it's easy, but it's not at all. It's it takes your whole life over. So what I've showed, like, I'm busy with my suspension stuff, so I can do some of that stuff with it, and basically just have someone out filming stuff. Like, I've been doing some extreme riding the last few weeks before I got hurt, and it was brilliant, just up in the woods. And Emma's dad's farm got some real good stuff up there, and it's just your normal sort of, when normal lads go, or girls, whatever, go riding a motorbike and enjoy themselves, and that's what it is. Me and my mates going out, and it's it's really good, and just simple stuff. People ask, well, how did you get over that log? And you can spend time and explain it. So I think we can do some really good stuff together. And like I say, the whole Dakar thing was nice, was really nice for me to share with people, especially like everyone that put their hand in their pocket to get me there. So I wanted them to be involved in it as much as they can, which I think we did a good job of. So if we can do more of that, it's a good thing. And message me, message me or Spirit of Motorsport with what stuff you want to see, because I'm open to any ideas, really.
Well, I'll be subscribing anyway, definitely. So brilliant. Listen, David, thank you. It's been so fantastic to check in with you, and what a bloody nuisance about your injury, but I guess that was just something telling you to slow down a little bit.
Yeah, just typical, innit? You ride the Dakar for 2 weeks, and it's better happening now than it was there anyway.
It's the Isle of Man keeping you humble. That's what it's doing, isn't it? It's keeping you grounded.
Yeah, it does keep you grounded. Yeah, you can't go anywhere.
Brilliant. Thank you, David. Thanks for your time.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, look forward to checking in with you again soon, and get well soon, and hope your injuries and your pain subside soon anyway.
Yeah, I'll be right enough. Back on the bike next week. What are we on there? Yeah, yes. Give it another few days, we'll be right. No, thanks everyone. So yeah, any questions, just give me a shout, and yeah, we'll get cracking.
Great. Cheers, David. Thanks so much.
Cheers, everyone.
Thank you, everyone that tuned in, for all of your comments and your questions. So we have announced now that we are supporting David in building this platform exclusively for him, exclusively for his fans. And what are your thoughts on that? Would you want to be involved in that? Would you want to pay a small subscription to get exclusive access to David's training schedule, to his preparation in the build-up to his race season? Let us know your thoughts. What would you want to see? What would you pay? Would you want to be involved in that? We would love to hear from you, because at the end of the day, we are building this not only to support David and getting back racing and moving forward with his career, but also to support you guys and supporting him the whole way through. So let us know. We want to hear from you. All right, guys, listen, thank you so much for tuning in. Your questions have been fantastic. Thanks again. If you know anyone that missed the show that will enjoy it, please do share it. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, get subscribing, because then you'll be sent a notification anytime we go live and anytime that we get some new footage posted on the channel. Thank you again. I'm Hayley Coxon. This is the Spirit of Motorsport TV with the great Mr. David Knight MBE.